survival and defense. Survival. This is survival and defense recipe for those in love like you and me. You know I love you and you're my boo-boo, and part of my duties is to provide and to protect you. Our survival in this world to come may change at any minute. We've witnessed instability beyond our limits. In the case of 911, Katrina, and the blackout. So our survival and defense love is what I'm talking about. Hitting it and quitting it and back to the survival mode. Food.
But Holly played basketball down
Safe
here.
as road.
Okay.
All right.
You know, I was doing fairly well in real estate.
Right.
You know, I was selling houses. You know what I mean, and I had a niche some kind of way. You know, that I was able to deal with people.
Right.
You know, I started off with Associate Brokers, which was Del Rio.
Right.
You know, he the one that taught me.
Okay.
You know, then from Del Rio, I mean, we broke a lot of areas. You know, because we couldn't be in these areas.
That's right.
You know, so we broke these areas, and then what again? I think Del Rio had something to do with breaking, because every contract had that you couldn't hire black people.
Oh, okay.
You know, so again, we broke that too. Now I was doing well, you know, in the neighborhood, and a couple of the neighbors' kids said, Mr. Hollaway said, like, we go down there and play basketball, and they taking us to juvenile.
Right.
You know, so will you please come and talk to them, you know, because we ain't doing it but playing basketball. We ain't stealing nothing. We just playing basketball. So I went down there and talked to Bishop Shaner and Father Duffy about this particular thing, you know, and they said, well, like, if you don't like it, then you run it. So we're not going to let these kids be in that by themselves.
Oh, okay.
Then I had to make that decision between selling houses, you know, and going making no money.
Right.
Right.
You know, so I chose to make no money.
No money. Right.
You know, but I was still dealing in property. I had 3 apartment buildings. You know, me and Robert Franklin, you know, and we was working in the community all at the same time, helping the community, doing this for the community, you know, doing everything. So as we start setting up programs and doing everything, I never told you this here, but we wrote a Black Manifesto.
Oh, okay.
You know, and the Black Manifesto stated that we can do it. We don't need no help from nobody. So what we did was we went down to New Mount Moriah,
Okay.
you know, and we asked Reverend Hooks, I never forget it, you know, could we march, you know, come to this church and speak. He said, don't come here.
Oh, wow.
He said, if you come here, I'm going to put you in jail. Reverend Holly was back in the back listening. So Reverend Holly come out and say, Reverend Hooks, let me help these. This is community people. So he sat down and he listened to us. He said, hey, come.
Right.
Speak to the church if you want to. So he let us come and he let us speak to the church. Now what happened from that, Reverend Holly helped us set up a basketball team right there.
Okay.
You know, right at the center. And Reverend Holly played.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, now, I had a laundry on Meldrum, 629 Meldrum, and across the street, Pal was in there. You know, Sergeant Brown, I'll never forget him. He's sitting there with a tennis rack. Didn't know what to do. You know, so I got my friend, Eugene Moore, I said, look, let's set this fella up. So we set them up. We taught him how to set up basketball, football, track, everything. And the first PAL was done at the center.
Okay.
You know, now let's go further than that. Emmanuel Stewart was an electrician. You know, and he set up a boxing at the center.
Right.
So we had boxing there. Matter of fact, we were one of the only one in the community that had Muhammad Ali and Bonaventure fight in the center.
Okay.
You know, right there, right at that center there. And we had it crowded.
Right.
And one thing that happened was there was no robberies that day. Now, the reason there wasn't no robbery, what we did was we opened the back door, and every thief, we escorted him up to the front, you know, and let him sit in the front to see everything free.
Right.
So we never had even a robbery around there. So we started working on different programs, you know, to help the community. We set up all, and like I said, we wasn't getting paid.
Right.
We wouldn't get no money because we figured that we can do it ourselves.
Right.
So we just started doing different programs, you know what I mean,
Right.
with this beautiful sister, Sister Elizabeth. You know, she come in and she believed in us. Bishop Shana believed in us, you know. So we did a lot of things. Now, let me tell you this here. When we had the clinic upstairs in there, you know, I was still playing basketball at that time.
Right.
I had a thing about this big, and I had $10,000 in it. And I was out there playing basketball. And I set it down and played basketball. And then I left and went to a meeting. When I came back, it was still sitting there.
Oh, wow. Now that's
You know, they haven't touched nothing. We had really turned the community around to help themselves, the drug addicts, you know. Now, the Black Panthers had the breakfast program there. That's where the breakfast program. The Muslims met there. Republican of New Africa met there. You know.
And then the Black Conscious Library. No, wait a minute. Dignity, Dr. Womack came over to study your program, and that's how he started his program. Am I correct?
Not only are you correct, but what happened was that I got an offer from Dr. Yule and Dr. Mitchell for the methadone program. They offered me $50,000. I wouldn't sell it. I gave it to Dr. Womack for not a nickel. I gave it to him free. I never got a nickel for it, you know. Matter of fact, they got an airplane that took me to Baltimore, Maryland, where I gave up my IND number. Now, the day that I went there, we made $9,000 on John R. and Belmont. And what Operation Get Down was, we was over there, we made $6,000 that day. We made $15,000 that day. When I went to Baltimore, Maryland and came back, I never got another nickel.
Didn't they give you the Fox Theater, one of them theaters downtown too?
Cicero Road. Cicero Love did that.
Okay.
Cicero Love came in and say like, and that was with I can't think of his name. He was a Moor. Chris Austin. Chris Austin had all these contacts, you know. So he said, "Look, man," he said, like, see what you can do with the Fox Theater. Now, he wasn't giving the Fox Theater, but he was giving everything in the Fox Theater. What we tried to do was to do an international village. What we wanted to do was take each floor and make it maybe Africa here, Germany here, France here, you know, as we drop down the floors where when you go, you shop, you can shop in each spot. It was so big, you know, we just couldn't do it. You know, we tried whatever we possibly could, you know, we just couldn't do it. It was just too big for us, you know. Now, right here on Oakland and the Boulevard, we got a building, you know, and we did the same thing at that building. We took that building, matter of fact, we had Adebayo there, you know. Matter of fact, Adebayo is the one that come up with blow paint, you know. What he would do is that he would blow and paint. Now, see, everybody's doing it now. But Adebayo the one that created that.
Okay.
Matter of fact, he brought Ken Weston down there, you know. Ken Weston had, 200 or 300 kids. We let them come on in there free, we know, so that they can get paid. So we just continue to do everything possible. Now, after all this here, Raw Necks come out.
Oh, okay.
You know, and he took me with